And we are live. Welcome everyone to this, I know, very special edition of Decanted, which I always say, but I'm especially excited today because I'm a huge Miami Heat fan. I'm a huge Bam fan. So I'm very excited to have our special guest here today who really needs no introduction, Bam Adebayo from the Miami Heat. Welcome, Bam.
How you doing? I do need an introduction. I'm not known yet, but pleasure to be here.
Likewise, it's a pleasure to have you. So on that note, I am just going to read off the bios of Bam, Kamal, and Vanessa before we get started, just so that everyone who's joining us today is aware of who we have today on this exciting edition of Decanted. So Vanessa from Wine Access was head of sales and marketing for several of Napa's most prestigious estates, including Arietta Wines, Dana Estates, and Realm Cellars. Previously, she was a retail buyer and wine bar director in New York. She's president of the board of the Jameson Animal Rescue Ranch, holds the Wine and Spirits Education Trust, or WESET diploma, and was the recipient of the Nikki Singer Memorial Scholarship from the International Wine Center. Vanessa became the 52nd Master of Wine in the US in February of this year. Welcome, Vanessa.
Thank you. So happy to be here with these gorgeous bottles open. So really is.
Excited to have you as always. Next up, Kamal Hachendani. He co-founded his highly celebrated luxury platform, Haute Living, over 15 years ago in Miami, Florida, building a network and audience of some of the most affluent and successful business people, philanthropists, entrepreneurs, and celebrities in key US and international markets like New York, LA, Miami, London, Dubai, and more. His personal affinity and love of fine wine led to partnerships with some of the most celebrated wineries and spirits houses in the world, such as Dom Perignon, Cristal, Louis XIII, Armand de Bragnac, and Perrier-Jouët, as well as cover features with some of the most noteworthy figures in the fine wine world, like Francis Ford Coppola, Bill Harlan, Marguerite Mondavi, among others. He has been featured in globally renowned publications for his wealth of knowledge, specifically in the athlete wine space, and facilitated some of the most monumental wine experiences, like assisting the legendary Kobe Bryant in launching his watch at the Napa Valley Reserve. Taking this one step further, he most recently launched Haute Wine Society under the Haute Living umbrella, which is a digital platform dedicated to fine wine and spirits, featuring exclusive content with like-minded wine aficionados like Carmelo Anthony, Sting, Jimmy Butler, Luis Fonsi, Ludacris, LeBron James, and more. Welcome, Kamal.
Thank you. Excited and honored. Thank you, Bam. Thank you, Vanessa and Devanshi.
Of course. And last but not least, we have Bam Adebayo. He is a dynamic starting center for the Miami Heat, as we all know, the 2020 NBA All-Star who also took home the Skills Challenge trophy on All-Star Saturday night, has become an essential piece of the Heat's core since being drafted 14th overall in the 2017 NBA draft. In 2019, Bam was named one of the top 100 players by Sports Illustrated and has successfully positioned himself to join some elite company in the NBA history books. His story to stardom was detailed by Sports Illustrated in 2017, and he is also known for having a very special relationship with his mother, who raised him from humble beginnings and continues to play a very vital role in his life today. He founded the BBB, which is the Bam Books and Brotherhood Foundation, whose mission is to change lives for single mothers while changing the future chances, choices, and challenges for children, and was named a 2019 Rising Star honoree by Champions for Philanthropy. Prior to the NBA, Bam played one season at the University of Kentucky, where he was named second team All-SEC, and in high school, he was named North Carolina Gatorade Player of the Year in 2016. North Carolina Mr. Basketball 2016, and a McDonald's All-American in 2016. Oy, 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 that was a lot. Welcome, Bam.
Thank you.
It's so exciting to have you here. Thank you so much. Also, of course, want to thank Wine Access for being a part of this very special event we have today, and Aston Martin Residences, where both Bam and Kamal are situated right now. One of the biggest luxury developments in the gorgeous city of Miami, which we all love and know very well. So before we get started, I would love if Vanessa would explain some of these beautiful Wine Access wines that we have with us here today.
Absolutely. And I'm sitting in Napa Valley, so it's a little earlier here for me, but you know, morning is this is the best time to taste wine. So I'm ready. I had a big breakfast. I'm ready to go. So these are two wines I thought would be a beautiful sort of compare and contrast of California to Bordeaux. So we have the 2017 Continuum, which is a Bordeaux blend. And then we have an actual Bordeaux, the Liabil Poiforet, Saint-Julien as well. So when we talk about kind of the differences between the two places, you know, here in my backyard of Napa Valley, we have this sort of beautiful California sunshine. We have, you know, abundant ripeness, like everything ripens here. Not so much in Bordeaux. You know, there can be vintages that are much cooler. You'll have a little bit more vintage variation. However, the vintage that we're drinking today, the 2009, is a vintage that I sort of, when I talk about it as a Bordeaux vintage, I say it's kind of a vintage that if you're a Napa drinker, you will like. So I thought these would be really beautiful together. 09, one of the outstanding vintages of Bordeaux. And this also is a wine that got some pretty high critical accolades. So two kind of powerhouse producers here, and also similar in terms of the blend. So, you know, they both are Bordeaux blends, and they're both right around 60% Cabernet Sauvignon. So I think in both, we're going to see sort of a lot of structure. You know, Cabernet Sauvignon is a very deeply colored variety. You can see both of these are almost opaque in the glass. And it's a variety that has a lot of sort of elegance, structure, finesse, lots of like black cherry and black currant. And then I think you'll find when we get to the Bordeaux in particular, can have almost like a cedar box note to it. And in the Bordeaux, almost like a graphite note. So lots to talk about here and lots of history between the two of them. But I'm just, have you tried them yet? Do you have them in your glass? Any initial thoughts on the wines before we talk about sort of more about the place?
Was that for Bam?
Sure, yeah, jump right in.
What you say? Which one is it? Not the 2009, but the 2017.
The Continuum.
I like that one. That one is I don't know. That one's a good taste to it. I just like that one better than I don't.
Well, I thought these two, when you know, Devanshi and Kamal and I were chatting about these and what should we show, I thought that these two, aside from being fantastic producers, they're both multi-generational family producers, which again, we're talking about, you know, your mom and this sort of amazing relationship you had. So I thought, in addition to being delicious wines, they both have these kind of really incredible stories. Continuum is, you know, located here in Napa Valley. It's up on Pritchard Hill, where there's a bunch of other, you know, very, very famous prestigious properties like Colgan and Ovid. And it's Tim Mondavi is the proprietor, and he's the son of the very, very famous Robert Mondavi, you know, who founded Robert Mondavi Winery here in Napa in 1965, or excuse me, 1966, he founded the winery, Robert Mondavi. But he, you know, as a person was really instrumental in putting Napa Valley on the world's map. When we talk about Napa, let's say, versus Bordeaux, in terms of winemaking history, we're basically in our infancy almost. It's really amazing the reach and the reputation that Napa has, considering we really only were able to start making wine again, you know, after Prohibition, which was this period in, you know, the 1920 to 1932, where you were not allowed to make wine in the United States unless it was medicinal or sacramental. So I think some people probably got around that in certain ways. But if you consider that, you know, we have sort of this short history here. And then you talk about Bordeaux, it's, you know, going back centuries and centuries and centuries. So Robert Mondavi was one of those people that really made that change. He elevated all of the wineries. He had this sort of collaborative spirit of all ships rise with the tide. And so, you know, founded this spirit here in Napa of like really helping each other, being kind to each other, and this really warm hospitality that I know Napa, you know, that's where I met Devanshi and Kamal, and it draws people from around the world for that reason. And it's really thanks to Robert.
Yeah, and speaking of generations, I would love to talk about you and your mom, Bam. because I am someone that is super close with my mom. I actually flew to Toronto last night to come be with my parents. I'm in quarantine right now. So they're on one side, I'm on this side. But we're reading some incredible things about you and your mom. And on a personal note, I would love to hear more of that. And I know my mom, who's tuned in today, would also love to hear more about that. So tell us about your relationship with her.
Well, me and my mom's relationship is very authentic. It's very transparent. You know, I consider my mom like one of my closest friends, just because I'm able to talk to her about anything that's on my mind or what that I'm going through, and that's vice versa. But you know, starting out, I was born in Jersey, so we moved from Newark, New Jersey when I was 8 because of gun violence, and she moved me to this rural area of North Carolina. So going from a city to the country is a big difference. So, and that's where she's from. And like I always I grew up in a single wide trailer. You know, it's always been me and her. And, you know, just seeing my mom struggle, I always wanted her to be better. I always wanted her to have her own. You know, she's never really had anything that she could say is like hers. So when I was growing up, I always my biggest dream was to make sure my mom, all her debt was paid off and make sure she had a house. So fast forward to my rookie year, are you about to tear up?
Yes. We're only like 5 minutes into it. This is not good.
When I got my first check, I paid off all her debt. And you know, I never thought that would feel so great, just for the simple fact of, you know, I just wiped her whole debt and everything off her shoulders. So this year, after I got my contract, I surprised her with a house. So, you know, it's one of those things where she struggled for me. So I just want to make sure she's taken care of.
I mean, I think a house definitely sets the bar pretty high. I mean, where do you go from there? What's next for mom? I mean,
Trip to the Bahamas? I don't know. She's one of those people, man. She's so humble and well spoken. You know, I love her to death. That's my rock. That's my pride and joy. So I look up to her. She's always been one of my leaders. She's always been a mentor to me. So just having her in my life is the best thing ever.
That's amazing. I see my mom commenting in the comment section. Yes, mom's the best. Moms are the best. We know. But here at Haute Living, we like to talk about a lot about luxury, and you know, sometimes it's different for other people, whether it be fashion, watches, wine. It sounds to me like luxury to you is the ability to give back. From what I've been reading about you, tell us a little bit about your philanthropic endeavors and your foundation and some other tidbits I know that happened recently I'd love to hear about.
So I started actually the whole thing behind my foundation was my mom actually started. So my mom was the person who was like, look, you need a foundation where you can take care of like single parents and also take care of kids who are, you know, raised a little differently and, you know, going through the struggle and trying to figure out how they can change their lives. So she started the foundation, and, you know, these past, going on 4 years, going on 3 years annually, but I've been doing toy drives and Thanksgiving drive. So, and a little bit of racking, which is called Random Acts of Kindness, where we just kind of, I don't know, I could be at dinner one day and I could see like a couple having dinner, and I'll just pay for the food, just a random act of kindness, just to show somebody we care. But recently, I did a racking situation where it was during my toy drive, and this lady was 3 months behind her rent and about to get evicted, and she had just lost her daughter, and she's still raising 2 sets of twin boys. So when I looked into it, she just also got into a really bad car accident, so she's in a wheelchair. So me and Charlie Rocket decided it was a great idea to, you know, do a random act of kindness and pay off her rent for the year. So just having that experience and just just seeing that and how she feels and knowing she doesn't have to worry about rent for a year is just, like you said, I get my luxury from giving back to people. So she's happy. She's got her rent paid for, so she's just working on, just getting healthy.
Kamal, what do you think about that? That's
No,
quite something.
I saw that, and first of all, it's an honor and it's humbling to have you here. Thank you for carrying our city. Haute Living started in Miami 16 years ago, down the street from here. So you carried our city on your back. It's a true honor, and our roots are here, and we're super excited to hear that you're here for the next 5 years, and you're taking over Wade County and keeping the greatness here. So super excited to share this moment and these glasses of wine with you. And when Vanessa and I were talking, we're saying, what wines? And I said, well, I'll choose based on the palate of his teammate, Jimmy Butler, because I know Jimmy is crazy about the wines, and we've hosted some wine tastings together. And, so I said, I know he loves the Bordeaux's, and he loves the Napa. So I figure on the trips, if he's a sharing type, probably get exposure to some pretty good wines, so forth. But really want to thank you. And I see what you're doing for the city, and I know it's just the start. So that's what's super exciting for me. And we're bringing together so many things that I love is philanthropy, and what you're doing for the city. It's just inspiring. So, keep up the great work. And, we look forward to covering your success and greatness over the years. Anything that we could do also on your foundation to bring more awareness and bring more relationships. Because as we deal in that luxury world, we deal with a very affluent entrepreneurial community that that is based on giving back, and that's a big part of our ether and what we're building. So my cheers to you. An amazing season, amazing deal, great stuff for your mom.
Thank you.
I mean, wine and basketball and luxury real estate are things that are all in my wheelhouse that get me super excited. So over the years, we had the good fortune of going to a bunch of the games and sitting courtside and really seeing the action and cheering you on. So it's, all comes full circle, and, wanted to thank you.
Thank you so much, my man.
Yeah, definitely sitting courtside at a Heat game is one of my luxuries in life. It's one of the most fun, engaging things to do. But just going back a little bit to your philanthropy, I think that a lot of people assume that in order to be charitable or to give back, you have to be like an NBA superstar or something. But I really enjoy the racking part of it, just random acts of kindness, like in the smallest sense, can go such a long way at any level. I mean, what sort of advice would you give to someone, or thoughts that you would give to someone who's looking to start off, potentially in the new year with a more giving back mentality?
I would say just don't expect anything in return. I feel like a lot of people, sometimes get caught in the, if I do this, what do I get in return? So I feel like you just can't have that mindset. How I do it is just like a random act of kindness. I'm just a good-hearted person. So being in that giving state all the time, you get your blessings on the back end. Like, doing all this philanthropy and just helping people, I end up blessed with the contract that I got and being able to provide for my family and my mom generational wealth. So that's how I look at it. I feel like it's a blessing in disguise. Sometimes when you do random acts of kindness, something just happens to you that's super positive or super influential in your life. So that's how I kind of would tell somebody who's starting out with philanthropy.
That's actually so key, because I think people, when you give and you have an expectation, I think that's more of a transaction than actually giving, because you're waiting for something in return, right? That's fantastic. But going back a little bit again to your mom's house, I was hoping we would get to meet her potentially maybe another time. Marilyn's the real GOAT, right? She's the one. So she's decorating now, or what's the next steps with the house?
Well, we got it done in 5 days.
Oh, wow.
A lot of people don't know. So when we got it on December 1st, and her birthday is December 6th. So we have 5 days, and me, my manager, and our interior decorator, and my realtor, out of them three, I don't know how they did it, but they made it happen. So it's not just me. I give them credit because they mainly did everything while I was at practice. But just having those three people and the way they got it done in 5 days was unbelievable. I mean, furniture, fully furnished, beds. You know, she's already had her keys made, so all she had to do was really just bring her clothes with her. And you know, just having those type of people in your life where they really want to get something done, and you could tell it was all genuine. Because as soon as she walked in, they was crying before she was. And it's just one of those things where, you know, they're just genuine people in my life, and I can appreciate all of them.
That's incredible. And she's in this, did I read correctly? She's in the same building as you?
Yeah, well, not anymore. She moved out.
Uh,
But we were in the same building.
That's amazing. I love that. Let's talk a little bit about this wine for a moment, because I just had my first sip and it's something pretty special.
Are you drinking the Continuum?
Yes, I'm drinking the Continuum. Okay. Yeah. So I know Bam has some teammates that are very much into wine, and Kamal mentioned we hosted Jimmy Butler, which was amazing. I know he's on his wine journey as well. What are your thoughts on wine? Are you interested in wine? Are you ready to take it to the next level? How can we help with that?
I'm slowly but surely starting to get into it. I mean, I'm not a drinker, but you know, I will casually. Sometimes every once 5 months, I'll have a glass of wine with my teammates. But I'm slowly starting to get into it, and you know, just hang around Jimmy and listen to UD and also D Wade. It's kind of one of those things where I kind of really want to get into it. You know, just hearing them and how they go, like you said, wine tastings and just going out of their element. I feel like it's going to be a great experience for me. You know, I'm ready to start learning about all the different wines.
Well, I'll tell you, in you know, working with a lot of the NBA and their passions in wine, what I found that was uniquely interested when Team USA, we hosted a dinner before Brazil of the finest wines in the world. And Kevin Durant spoke about drinking a bottle the night before that led you to have focus in the fourth quarter, and he was sweating more. And then you read about LeBron talking about it. Instead of painkillers, I drink the Sassicaia wine, where it has sort of Greek god type effects on him and healing. So the wine culture, I feel, has greatly benefited from the NBA and obviously social media and so forth. And at Haute Living, we had the great honor of when Kobe Bryant was launching his Hublot, he said he wanted to be known like wine, getting better with age. And so it actually launched with a carbon fiber corkscrew, and we chose the place in Napa and helped him launch that. And we've also, in speaking about luxury, one of the things I believe we'll be doing with you in the future is we've connected many of the NBA stars with the watch deals. So for Carmelo Anthony, and we launched D-Wade's Hublot deal and so forth. And I see you falling perfectly in that trajectory of, you know, us reaching out to some of these top tier luxury brands. And as we get educated about wine and watches and the other things, you know, what you bring to the table and your image and accomplishments, there's a lot of synergies of what we've been building over the years. So looking forward to sharing a lot more great, you know, activities and, you know, opportunities together.
Thank you. I'm looking forward to it.
Maybe like some dunk tie-in to that watch, like a Bam Dunk edition or something ridiculous like that. Vanessa, tell us about a little bit more about Continuum, what we're tasting in the glass.
For sure. So as I mentioned, you know, Tim Mondavi, who's the proprietor, son of the famous Robert Mondavi. And when Tim was still working with his father at Robert Mondavi Winery, they actually were part of founding the partnership with the Rothschilds for Opus One, which I mentioned because we were talking about UD, and I had a great honor of interviewing him for a podcast for the Wine Access Unfiltered podcast. And that was one of his favorite wines. He mentioned it, I think, you know, no more than a dozen times, and I couldn't agree more. But I love how there's kind of like a through line here of the conversation. But yeah, Continuum Winery. So high up on this Pritchard Hill. It's extremely rocky up there. When things open up and you can visit, I would highly recommend anyone who can to go take a trip. You'll see these boulders that they had to move to build the winery that are, you know, bigger than an SUV, and they'll drive you around the property, you know, in a little four-wheeler, so you can really get these amazing views of Napa Valley. But yeah, what I wanted to mention too, just about, you know, this wine is, it's sort of one of the crown jewels of this amazing Napa Valley. You know, this place is actually really small for a wine growing region. We're only 30 miles long, 5 miles wide, and literally a valley, you know, kind of sandwiched between these two mountain ranges, the Vaca and the Mayacamas. And this is absolutely one of the stars of Napa Valley. And continuing the generations, you know, his daughter Carissa now is part of the winery, and then his sons Carlo and Dante have founded their own winery over on the Sonoma coast. So again, I love these kind of multi-generational stories of people who find this passion and are really excited to, you know, pass it down to their children and their children and then their children's children as well.
That's beautiful. And you guys are in Miami, Vanessa's in Napa, I'm in Toronto. So speaking of travel and connectivity, obviously we have a big NBA season upon us. Coming off of last year, what are your thoughts going into this season? We're all super excited to see you guys, you know, do your thing and take it to the next level. It's been an incredible journey. So what are your thoughts?
Yeah, it was a crazy experience, first of all, just for the simple fact of we got to finish the season in the middle of a pandemic, which a lot of us didn't expect to happen. So for them to be able to put us in a bubble, make us feel as comfortable as possible while keeping us safe was a triple check to the NBA. And, you know, going through that series of playing in the playoffs in the bubble, totally different, no fans, you know, not really any family. It was one of those things where you can get lonely. So I feel like that's what made us better as a team, just because we needed to depend on each other, you know, off the court. So I feel like that's why we made such a great run. And, you know, we're kind of running it back. We only lost 3 players this year, and we added some valuable assets, you know, even though the assets last year left. So our whole mindset is we want a different result than last year. So the result is we trying to win the title. You know?
Yes.
Not just trying to get there and leave empty-handed again. You know, our main goal is to finish our job.
I think that's a really key thing that you mentioned that I actually didn't think about, is that because there were no fans and a limited amount of family, you guys really had each other's backs even more than before. And I think as a Heat fan myself, and, you know, knowing other Heat fans, I think what we see the most about your team is how well you work together, like as a real, you know, unit. And what is it about the Heat that you guys just come together like that and really support each other?
It starts from day one. You know, once you walk in that locker room, there's no I. It's we now. You know, we're not one of those teams where we depend on one person. We depend on everybody to do everything. You know, some do better than other, obviously, because you got different things to a basketball. But, you know, for the most part, we always want to treat each other like family. You know, we never want an outlier. We never want somebody feeling like an outcast. So, you know, I feel like the group of guys that we got in our locker room, we embrace one another. And that's what I love about this team. That's what I love about the staff. You know, they're not shying away from anything. We embrace each other 100%. But we also know when it's time to get our job done. And, you know, as a collective unit, you know, I feel like we're one of the most connected teams in the NBA.
I would definitely agree with that. I think that's a really key thing. And you mentioned, you know, unfortunately losing a few players, but you got some good ones. I caught a bit of your game yesterday. I saw some, you know, next level people ready to shine. So what are your thoughts on the team now for this season?
Sky's the limit for this team. You know, we got so much talent. We got so many guys coming back, and we got experience now. You know, a lot of everybody on our team has been in the finals. So, you know, we know how to get there. It's just the fact of we got to get to that point and know how to finish. And I feel like we can get that done.
Absolutely. Kamal, what are your thoughts? I mean, I know you're a big Heat fan yourself, so.
Well, for me, it's gratitude because, as you mentioned, in the pandemic, you guys finished this and you gave the city or our city so much hope in such a dark time. And being able to escape from worrying and watching everything on the news and that stuff and being able to tune in and watch you guys do your work and then to surprise us so pleasantly and take it so far. That really put a smile on not only, I believe, the city of Miami, around the world took notice because the NBA really did it right and you guys did it super right. So for me, it all comes from a position of gratitude of you guys, as I said in the start, carried our city on your back, and that literally translated and rippled throughout the world and let everyone forget about all the hardships of what was going on and tune in and escape from that reality and watch you perfect your craft. So thank you. It's it's unbelievable to be aligned with you today, and it's a very exciting time with the season starting in a few days. So you give us more hope on the holidays.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, and I think another unique thing about the Heat is how much faith and trust they have in the younger players. I don't really see that much in other teams. What are your thoughts on some of I mean, you're super young yourself. I mean, it's kind of crazy to believe that this is going to be your third year.
My
Fourth year. So you just finished your third year. So, I mean, you guys are all so young, but I mean, your amazing coach, who we all love very much, really puts a lot of faith in the younger players. What do you think it is about that dynamic?
He is suppose one of those guys. He wants to trust you. He wants to be able to sit on the sidelines and not say anything, and we handle it as grown adults. And I feel like that's why we as young guys develop so much faster because he puts the ball in our court, I guess you can say, and wants us to develop into how D Wade and UD, how they led their team. So he puts it in the young guys' hands and lets us figure it out. And that's one thing I always liked about Spo. He let me play through my mistakes, and I got gratitude for that because at any moment he could have been like, man, this ain't it, and went a different direction. So I respect him because he wants the young guys to develop. He wants us to be the face of the franchise.
Absolutely. And just speaking a bit more about your mom, I know I read something about how you keep a photo of the trailer that you mentioned you grew up in. And, she's always really kept you grounded and told you to remember where you come from, your humble beginnings. Do you think that she recognized how amazing and the greatness within you so young? Because it seems that she really instilled that in you really thoroughly and firmly, and it really comes across.
That I don't know. I wish I'm gonna ask her today, actually.
Yeah.
I just think she just believed in her son. I feel like that was bottom line. She just believed in me, and she knew I had a way out of our situation. So just putting that battery in my back, always being the number one supporter, but also my devil's advocate at times. She always kept me grounded, and I appreciate her for it. And the trailer, I always said it made us who we are. I feel like looking at that trailer every day is humbling, just because I know I always see where I come from. So being able to see it every day, it just pops in your mind that, like you came from that, you made it out, and you don't never want to go back. So do everything you're supposed to do so we can live how we want to live instead of living like that again.
Right. And speaking of, your younger life and, when you were a kid and growing up, there are obviously a lot of young people that look up to you. And I think it's really amazing that, off the bat, you've come into the NBA with that real philanthropic drive. How do you feel about, a huge young generation of NBA fans, Miami Heat fans, of course, looking up to you in that light. I really think it's something really incredible.
It's just respect. I feel like it's respect. They respect what I'm doing for the city. They respect how I play. They respect, I want to be a winner. And, I'm trying to bring the city a championship. So I feel like they just respect everything that I'm about. My image is clean, and I feel like the city embraces that.
Yes.
And results have been heavy. So, Miami's a city that, they don't forgive and forget easy. But, so you got the city super happy and super energized, looking forward to the start of this new season.
Thank you.
Speaking of starting fresh, Vanessa, shall we chat about the second wine, if you'd like to give us a little bit of an intro?
I would love to. So we started with the continuum. So the second wine is Chateau Liabil Poiferé. I took a page from Kamal's book because I know he's usually the one with the decanter, but I did decant this because it is, while it still has a lot of youthful notes and freshness, this is over a decade, in bottle. And so I wanted to just be sure that the wine I decanted for sediment. But basically, this is one of the top producers in Saint-Julien. So we're on the left bank of Bordeaux. Bordeaux is kind of divided geographically into the left bank and the right bank. And the left bank is really characterized by these really gravelly, sandy soils. And the reason why that matters is this wine is mostly Cabernet Sauvignon. And these gravelly soils are great for Cabernet because winemakers or growers will tell you Cabernet is a variety that doesn't like to have its feet wet. So they really thrive in these soils where they can have this sort of great drainage. And as I mentioned at the beginning of this, it's actually also a multi-generational family business. But what can be a little bit confusing when you're looking at this sort of neighborhood of Saint-Julien is there were 3 Liabil properties. And it actually was a result of inheritance and different pieces going to different parts of the family. So there's the one that we're drinking, Liabil Poiferé, but then there's also Liabil Las Casses and Liabil Barton. So all sort of related back in the day, but different properties now. But one kind of fun, interesting story about when these properties got divided is the chateau and the winery are across the street from each other for these properties, but they didn't end up, the chateau and then the production facility, directly across the street. They're kind of like this, they're in an X. So this family has the chateau and the winery here, and then one of the other families has this chateau and this winery here. And to move the barrels over to the chateau when needed back in the day, they used to have to literally just like roll them across the street. But they've invented this really ingenious way of moving the wine now, where they actually have these sort of tunnels underneath the ground where they can like push the wine through, and then they don't have to interrupt traffic or risk life and limb of getting run over by trying to roll these barrels across the street.
Wow.
But again, one of I think the top properties in all of Saint-Julien, which is one of my favorite communes on the left bank of Bordeaux. And for me, just showing like this really great combination of that beautiful freshness to it, but you get a little bit of that kind of savory notes that are starting to emerge, a little bit of that kind of like forest floor, truffly mushroom note to it, because it has had a bit of time in bottle.
So this is a 100-point rated to 09, right?
It is, correct. Yes. Yeah. This is a 100-point wine from the Wine Advocate, which of course, if you're a Robert Parker fan, that's a big deal.
Bam, what are your thoughts? I thought I saw some nods of approval when you tried that one.
Well, now that I've tasted that twice, I'm stuck between both of them now. So
That's the best outcome. It's
Yeah,
not
not
being able
bad
to
place
decide. That's the best.
Yeah, just keep trying. Let us know as we go.
Speaking of heritage, I saw your name. I believe it's Nigerian.
Hmm.
Nigerian descent. I've had the great fortune of visiting Africa a few times. Devanchi's father was actually born in Africa. Have you been back?
I haven't. I want to go. I want to go back. I want to really see what it's like, and really just learn the heritage, learn like where I come from and my descent. It's always been a big. I was gonna go this summer, but obviously,
Yeah,
COVID.
yeah,
Hopefully in the near future, next off season, I'll be able to go and just really get the full experience.
unbelievable journey that, just visiting there. So a lot of people we're from India, and a lot of people emigrated. So very, strong population there. So we have a lot of connectivity between the cultures. But amazing trip for sure, definitely.
Yeah. Yeah, as Kamal mentioned, my dad is from Africa and he was very excited to watch this today because every time we watch a Heat game together on FaceTime because of COVID, he's like, he's definitely from Africa. He's from Africa. I was like, I don't think he was born in Africa, but I think he has African roots for sure. So yeah, Africa is a very special place. But we've spoken a lot about how you give back and what you've given to your mom and continue to do for her. What is it that you give yourself sometimes? A lot of us, we have some accomplishments. We like to buy ourselves a nice watch or a trip or something. What is it? What's your thing?
Uh, I give myself a pat on the back. That's probably about it. I'd always give, and I get a thrill out of it. I feel like it's a positive for me. I'm changing somebody's lives or changing someone's life. So, I don't really look at it as in like something in return. I just feel like I'm waking up every morning. That's a blessing enough for me, honestly, and just continue to just give back. So giving to myself, I would say a cool little pat on the back, just to realize that what I'm doing is to better the world, better the people, and better my city.
I'm like speechless. That's really, we have the honor of speaking to a lot of very incredible people, and it's so great to hear everyone's perspective, but it's really refreshing to hear how truly humble you are. And it seems like you really come from the heart. Like everything you're saying comes from the heart. We always have something, right? Like we like to get cars or something like that, but it's amazing that you truly get, that feeling from giving. It's something quite amazing. And from your mom, like you said. So we appreciate that so much. Kamal, what are your thoughts on the wine? You're
I'm loving them both. I'm more of an old world with the Bordeaux, the old school wine. I like that soil taste from the river out there. But I'm, super blessed to be able to enjoy both of these on a Saturday afternoon in the greatest city in the world with, one of the goats and the future goats. So I think that the Bordeaux, we opened it up an hour before, so it got some time to breathe. And I can really start seeing, really seeing the evolution of the wine. So I'm looking forward to finishing the rest of it later on in the evening.
And you mentioned Miami being, one of the greatest cities in the world. What are your favorite things about Miami, Bam?
Man, like you said, one of the best cities. Coming from North Carolina, the weather stood out first, obviously. You hear about Miami, but until you actually come here, it's a difference. And it's one of those cities where you can do what you want when you want to. So like everything is always open, So like if I want to go to, I don't know, Top Golf or Top 42, or everything's available. And just getting the experience of Miami as a whole, people see it as like a tourist, attraction. But to me, this is home. So just being able to just ride around, in the middle of the day on December, where normally everywhere is freezing cold and it's snow, and to see people out here on boats and just enjoying the life. That's what I love about it. You get to enjoy life here. It's one of those cities where you can pick and choose what you want to do each day and have a new, I guess you could say, hobby.
Yeah, well, I would say, I didn't say one of the greatest city in the world. And the fact that it's such an amazing cultural melting pot. I mean, I represent 305 for the rest of my life. So, I mean, this is a big part for our family. And I would say also, it's also a great bonus that we don't have any state income tax here. So it's, it's been beautiful. You could come get an amazing residence at the Aston Martin residence, I'll pretty much walk to the Heat Arena and hopefully mid-season start catching games, drive your Aston down the street to do that. So many benefits of having space, weather, tax-free environments, especially in these times. So I firmly believe we are the city of the future.
Like you were saying, to add on to that, the diversity of like ethnicity, that's a big thing that stuck out to me. You meet so many different people from different parts of the world here. So I feel like that's one of the biggest things I actually love about this city. It's so diverse.
Yeah, that's true. Actually, that's a good point. It has a lot of culture too, unlike a lot of other cities in the States. So I do appreciate that about Miami. Vanessa, we got to get you out to Miami.
I know. Well, as soon as things become a little easier to get around, I would love to. I've been several times, prior to 2020, and I absolutely love it. I used to live in New York, and so I still think that's the greatest city, but Miami, I have to say, has always really appealed to me. I love the weather. I love the people. I always ate and drank well. And yeah, you guys, it's definitely a very friendly culture there. So I can't wait. Not to mention the basketball.
Obviously.
Weather in New York, it get below 10, 15.
Yeah.
So
I didn't do that anymore, honestly. And living in California now for a while, when I go back to New York, I just think, how did I ever do this? This is awful. In the winter, it's tough. Eventually, I know you know all about that recently too.
Yeah, I could talk about this forever, but I came to Toronto yesterday, and man, that weather hit me in the face when I got off the plane. Oh my God, it's terrible. It's freezing, but it has my parents, so I really can't complain. I'm so happy to be here. And just to wrap things up a little bit, Vanessa, some final thoughts from you.
I mean, I guess it's been such an honor to talk with you, and of course, Bam, I know who you are by reputation, but having the chance to really hear more about your philanthropic endeavors, I knew about your love for family, but it's really very inspiring. I'm really close to my parents too, and so I love when I hear people who have these great relationships and see how it's inspired them to do also great things in their life, including more than anything, giving back. So this has been just so incredible. And of course, Kamal and Devanshi, I love anytime I get to open up wine with the two of you. It's a great day. So thank you for having me. And I hope that the wine showed as well as I hoped for me. I think they're both singing, the Continuum and the Liabil Parforet from Bordeaux. But I have two great bottles to look forward to this weekend. So thank you.
I think Kamal is nodding in approval to that singing of the bottles. What are your thoughts, Kamal?
And besides, the wines being beautiful, I feel 10 times even more stronger about the company and what you stand for, BAM. And the reality is, truly honored after 15 years of publishing, and we do meet a lot of great people, but you're exuding another level of greatness from your humility, coupled with your accomplishments. So I know from our perspective, in the business realm, we're going to have a lot of great times together, and on the social and friendship realm, just from what you represent. And I know that the luxury brands would be very lucky to be aligned with you. And it's a great honor for us to be partnered with a group like Wine Access today and the Aston Martin Residences, because what we want to do is align with greatness and the best of the best. And that's what you represent, and that's what we represent. So I look forward to a super bright future, and please continue carrying our city on your back, because it's truly, truly appreciated, and you have us in a sweet spot. So thank you.
Yeah, for sure. Appreciate it. I appreciate y'all, just having me up here, getting to try wine, stepping into that next chapter in my life. So just being able to experience this, and also getting closer with Aston Martin and the business side of this, Camille, as you said, and, just keeping this thing tight, and I've had fun today. I learned about 2 new wines. I'm gonna go text Jimmy and D Wade and
Yeah.
my little event that I had today. Talk about it. But for the most part, I'm just blessed to be here. It's a humble experience, and then it's an incredible place.
No, the feeling is very mutual, and on behalf of Haute Living and Wine Access and Aston Martin Residences, we thank you so much for being here with us, Bam, today. It's been, like I said, very refreshing, and just piggybacking off what Kamal said, you really represent the next generation of greatness in the NBA, just for so many reasons, more than outside of basketball as well. So it's truly an honor. And as someone who's best friends with my mom myself, it's so lovely to hear all these stories, and certainly looking forward to hearing more about your mom and your journey and being a part of that. So thank you so much for your time, Bam. It's been amazing, and good luck in the season.
Thank you. I'm
Yes.
looking forward to the season. Like I said earlier, I'm looking to bring the city a championship. That's been on my mind, since we lost. So I got to keep that mentality.
No, we're excited to see what you have to bring, because we know there's a lot more. So can't wait for what's next, and can't wait to watch you guys crush it. And again, on behalf of Haute Living, Wine Access, and Aston Martin Residences, thank you everyone for joining us today. And thank you, Bam, so much. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you. Cheers.